Welcome aboard, all you wonderful groomers, pet stylists, and canine cosmetologists. You found the Traveling Groomers Podcast, where we discuss lessons learned from mobile and house call grooming. I'm one of your hosts, Chris Bear Anthony. Any moment now, we'll be joined by my co-host and friend, retired mobile groomer and educator extraordinaire, Mary Aquendo, and very likely a special guest to help us chat about all things grooming, grooming industry related, and just plain fun digressions that I totally wrangle back to topic. Grab those travel mugs and climb aboard to see where today's topic will bring us. Let's roll. All right, guys, welcome to a very special crossover episode. And for those of you watching on YouTube, I have to explain what just happened. With timing, as I was introducing my co-host, my dog jumped up and I was trying to keep her out of my face and telling her she's not my co-host. But as I was doing that, I guess my hand was pressing against her throat because she belched directly in my face.
Fantastic.
I'm going to find out if the recording actually picked that up because that was a hot air. It was lovely. It was lovely. So Mary.
Yes.
Who do we have with us today?
Oh my God, we have a fun episode today. So we're doing a crossover episode with Denise Perot and Corina Stanworthy.
All right.
Hello.
All right. Thanks for having us.
Yeah,
Yay.
thank you.
Look,
Well,
I love
on the
it.
flip side, thank you for having us.
Oh,
Well, yes.
Sure. Oh my gosh, but you're
Yes.
the established one. So thank you for welcoming us into your
Yes.
home and bringing us along for the ride. I love a good crossover episode.
Oh, always.
yeah.
I'm a big Star Trek fan. So, that's something that Trekkies do very well.
Oh,
is a
yes.
crossover episode, usually to introduce a new spin-off or just for funsies. This is just for funsies. I love
This
it.
is for funsies.
Mhm.
So, Corina, have you been watching the Lower Decks?
I love Lower Decks.
Oh my God.
Oh my gosh. So good. So good. Love Lower Decks. Just finished this season 4 finale.
Yep.
Oh, fantastic. The Lower Decks Strange New Worlds crossover is everything. It is
Okay.
It is life. Yeah. That's
Have you ever watched BoJack Horseman?
yes, love BoJack Horseman.
What was the lab's name? Mr.
Peanut butter?
Mr. Peanut Butter. Every so often when we do a crossover, I just hear Mr. Peanut Butter. Is this a crossover episode? Mr. Peanut Butter is like awesome.
That's a good one. Good character.
All right. Oh, and since we're on that topic, for the Traveling Groomers listeners, welcome to episode number 236, recorded on November 5th and will be airing on November 22nd.
So,
Dun,
Denise,
dun,
what
dun.
episode is this for you?
This will be our third,
Nice.
fifth,
We
fourth or
don't-
fifth episode. When this
you're-
airs, it'll be our fifth episode. I
You
think.
guys are so much better at this than we are. We don't count them.
We don't.
We forget
Listen.
to introduce ourselves and say who's talking,
Yeah.
so nobody knows what they're listening to. Look, we're still learning, all right?
We came
You-
up with our name 10 minutes before we start. Actually, I think it was 2 minutes before it started, to be honest. And then
It's fine. It's
Yeah.
fine. It all works.
it
And
does.
you should see our early episodes.
Oh, seriously, you want to feel better about it?
Oh, yeah. Actually, no, you want to feel really better. Listen to our very first episode.
Oh, no, we
because
re-recorded that.
we did.
Ooh, that
So
bad,
listen
huh?
to episode number 2.
Or did I
Well,
just
now I want to hear the first one. The
did
very
I just
first one.
Oh, no,
edit
that's
it?
long gone.
The
So
lost
sorry.
tapes. The lost.
The lo-
the
it
lost
was
footage.
we were the sound quality was so bad. I was literally sitting on my sofa with my laptop and using that mic from my laptop.
Hey, you gotta start somewhere, right?
It's true.
Well, yeah. I mean, doing the thing rather than thinking about doing the thing or waiting to get perfect about doing the
Yes.
thing means you'll never get it done.
Amen. How long? I mean,
Yeah.
how many times do we procrastinate on projects and don't just
Mhm.
do them? And nope.
Yeah.
Feel ya.
Don't let perfect be the enemy of good enough.
Nope.
Yeah.
That's absolutely correct. That's absolutely.
And I want to say it we were nominated for Barkley Honors, like almost right out of the gate. Okay. With some really terrible production quality podcast.
It's gotten much
So you're
better.
saying there's a
I
chance.
promise.
You're
Yes.
you're
Yes.
saying the bar's
Fingers
real low.
crossed.
Okay.
Well, you guys raised the bar on your way up, so thanks a lot for that.
Yeah,
No,
thanks.
well, sorry. And I kind of mean that because I'm on a little like I'm on a mission. We touched on it briefly in our pre-hitting record chat, but I'm like, I don't want to be Susan Lucci. So I am aiming to raise the bar as high as I possibly can until I'm like peering over it, hanging on by my fingertips, going, this is it, right? This is as good as I got. This is it. Because, you know.
Yeah, we're going to win one year and we're going to be sitting at the table and not paying attention.
Right?
And they'll be at the table looking at us and pushing us out of our chairs. And I'm like, oh,
it'll be the year we didn't expect. It'll be the year we didn't expect.
It'll be the year that you give up and you don't go.
mm-hmm.
That'll be the year. You'll be like,
Yeah.
you know what? We had a
Eh.
good run. I'm going to stay home.
Yeah.
And boom.
Yeah.
You're going to win. Don't worry.
Yeah.
I'll accept it on your behalf. Don't even worry about it. I got you.
Well, I'll be at Hershey. I mean, I'm
Mhm.
I'm at Hershey with Evolution Shears. That's not going to be
It'll be
an
the year
option.
you can't get in. You can't get tickets.
It'll be the year
Yeah.
I don't bother getting tickets and I forget because I'll go, oh, I'll just walk in and listen at the end. But I'm going to forget because
Yeah.
I'm going to be sitting and having a lovely dinner elsewhere and be 2 chocolate martinis in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm really annoyed at Shannon Roberts because she introduced me to the chocolate buzz.
Martini.
Oh, the chocolate buzz. Okay.
Good one.
Yeah, they're so good. Oh my God, they're so good. That's all I'm gonna say. They're so good.
Oh,
The martinis.
oh, guys, you missed it. Apparently, Mary gets very physical when she's buzzed on chocolate buzzes because
Do you
not
hit
only-
people too? Because I hit people.
Fight me
No, she
physical or
stole-
sleepy
fight me
physical?
physical, like
Oh,
fight me
my
physical because
phone.
no, you
She
willingly handed over an
stole-
unlocked
no,
phone to me.
no,
So
no.
dumb. So
She
you're a smart
stole my
person, but that
phone
was a dumb
But
move.
one person I thought I could trust.
That was your first mistake. So I was typing in a very innocent, Chris is the best person ever, like Facebook status update. Now, I had my leg in a cast on a knee scooter, Hershey, this
Should
year.
have thought of that before she
attacked-
stole my phone. And
She
committed a
attacked
crime.
I
a
was
disabled
2
woman.
weeks post surgery, 2 weeks. And she's sitting next to me at the table and I'm leaning over and she's like lying on top of me, trying to get the phone. And now this could have been solved. Mary pointed out very
You dropped
logically.
the phone at any point.
I could have dropped the phone at any
Could have
point.
released the stolen merchandise.
But do you think I was going to do that before I hit post? Thank you. That's all. All
No,
right.
Yeah, no, I'm on Chris's side here. Mary, you're a monster. Jeez. Absolute monster.
That's
It was the martinis.
just-
It was
was
You know
chocolate
what?
It was the chocolate buzzes.
And you
Mhm.
know, and even if you'd have like flattened me, even if you would have knocked me out of my chair, I still would have had no regrets. No regrets. I'm just saying.
Okay.
All right, guys.
So shall we actually get to the podcast?
Well, no, this was our opening.
Due
Okay.
time.
This was our opening, our introduction. We're
Mary, I've been
chatting
doing
with
this a
each other.
while. Let me give you some tips. You can't force it.
Uh-huh. So,
You can't force
okay.
it. You gotta just sometimes let it happen organically.
Okay. Thank
And
you.
see-
for that.
Organically.
Organically.
That's for you.
Okay.
See, and
Thank you for that podcast advice. I really
Yeah.
appreciate it.
yeah, it's good advice. It's good advice. See, what happens is I have a list of times we need to do things. And my goal is to guide Mary to it organically, because if she knows I have a list,
okay,
if she knows I have a list
Finds
of
it
when things
out.
are supposed to happen,
I guarantee
She
you,
doesn't tell
Corina, I
me.
will not be Chris in this relationship. We will not have that kind of structure.
Well,
Yeah.
one of us has to be. I mean,
but that being absolutely said, I also have a list of when our commercials are supposed to go, and it is time for me to hit my very first button of the podcast. And speaking of continuing education, because we either were or will be, join the Andis world-class education team each month for live interactive virtual classes. You'll learn new and trending styles, as well as tips and tricks from some of the best groomers in the industry. Whether you're looking for basic skills, trending styles, advanced techniques, or even just ways to spark your creativity, the new Andis Grooming Education site is your source for finding what you need to create your way for success. Try new techniques, learn from the pros, and grow your confidence today at andis.com/groomer education. Traveling Groomer Podcast listeners, hey, that's you, can get 25% off your first course today with the code VEGROOMING at checkout on andis.com/groomer education. Ta-da, and we're back. So, all right, now I have to know, we talk about customer service a lot on the podcast. And before we hit record, Corina said something and made an allusion to how she was still hot about something that happened at, I want to say, Rite Aid. And I need to hear this story in my life, because I think we can take every customer service interaction, good and bad, we have outside of grooming and apply it to ourselves and our shops and how we deal with customers. So lay it on me.
all right. Well, okay, so I learned a couple things about myself today at the Rite Aid. So I am there to finally get my flu shot and my winter COVID booster. And so I made an appointment online before I went. My appointment's at 10:20. So I am there at 10:10. And check in with the pharmacist. She takes my insurance card. She said she'll call me when she's ready. Great. So I'm like bopping around, gonna pick up, like I can always spend money in a pharmacy. I can find something to buy that I don't need. And then the lady behind me also checks in for her vaccine appointment, and she is a much older woman, and much older than me, and she is there with her husband, and they can't find her appointment in the system. And she immediately goes from 0 to 100 on this poor little pharmacy assistant who is just trying to do her best. So she goes from like, well, what do you mean? Where's my appointment? And, the pharmacy assistant is like, well, our system's just, honestly, it sucks. And sometimes, maybe it was a different pharmacy that you registered. And she tried to blame the system,
Mm-hmm.
And this lady just immediately jumps into dropping F-bombs. So I'm like, oh, okay, we're gonna do this. And so what I learned about myself is that when I am a third party bystander, I mean I was like huffing and puffing and making a lot of noise to show her how annoyed I was with her. And what I learned about myself is that I am one bad day away from potentially assaulting someone if they are being rude to someone in customer service. So like the flip side of it, while I really encourage my team to provide excellent customer service and to really hear people out and to be patient and kind and never assume malice, on the other side of it, if I see a customer being rude to service staff, I will say something. So the best part of this was when she was like, when is your appointment? And she tried to drag me into it. And I said 10:20. And she's like, that's when mine was supposed to be. And I was like, are we going to fight in the Rite Aid? Like, are we gonna throw hands? Because I'm a lot younger than you, and it sounds like you're very ill from the vaccines that you're getting. Like, I wouldn't suggest. I don't think this is gonna go well for you. So, every time she started talking to me, I couldn't like get this lady to understand that she was being really irate and rude and making everybody uncomfortable. So it got to a point where every time she started talking, I would go, "Oh my God," and just look at her. But the true icing on the cake was she started to complain about how long it was going to take, and there's just like two people working. And so she proceeds to go over and start talking to them while they're working, thereby making it a longer process for everyone involved. So she's like going up to the pharmacist and saying, hey, I heard you guys are going to close. What kind of gel do you use in your hair? How do you get it to stay up like that? I'm going to rate your website really bad. And so this whole time I'm just like, this lady, and also her husband is like doing nothing. I hope that when I'm that bad, whoever I'm with is like, hey, shut up, you're being obnoxious. Like, please, everyone here, if you see me being obnoxious to wait staff or service staff, please tell me to shut up.
Gotcha.
Okay, we'll do.
But he didn't really wrangle her in, and I was embarrassed. I was embarrassed for for everyone involved, and she just was not taking a hint that she was being really obnoxious. But what I did notice while I was ready to throw hands, can you imagine the local news, like local woman assaults elderly woman in the farm? Like I was sitting here thinking, like, what will be the news story? And also I just couldn't get away from her. It was like she was everywhere in that pharmacy. But I also like had so much respect for the the people in the pharmacy. They were treating her they were being very pleasant. They were not being combative back at her. She was yelling at them, and she was like, they very much just kept saying like, we're sorry, we know, yeah, it really stinks. And they were so pleasant and so kind and caring with her. And part of that I think is maybe they're used to working a lot with irate elderly population. I'm not sure.
It could be.
They tend to get a little grumpy. And I just have so much respect for them because they had all the patience in the world for this woman. And I thought, kudos to them, because I have none, being here on the outside watching how they're being abused by this lady. And they are just making her feel welcome, and they are not passing judgment against her at all, and they are not attributing anything she says to malice. They're just answering her questions as honestly as they can.
I've called corporate and the store manager when I've seen situations like that to give, because if this person is gonna call and complain, I'm gonna call ahead of time saying, hey, listen, this is what really happened in the store in case you get the phone call. Your staff is phenomenal. Okay. I have also watched a store manager berate an employee in public, which is a huge no for me.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay. That also warrants a phone call to corporate while I am standing in front of them relaying the information.
That's awesome. And I have to remember to do that. Did you make eye contact?
Oh yeah.
Did you make eye contact? This manager is just berating the employee in front of me. I'm a customer. Now I feel awkward and bad for this employee. Do you have a high turnover rate in this store? Yeah, just awkward, crazy eye contact.
And and that's ultimately why I didn't really escalate the situation, because it's not my job to take care of this lady as much as I would like to. But also, like, I figured, they have a handle on it. They're fine. They're not, she's not actually hurting anybody. Is she being like obnoxious and making everyone uncomfortable? Yeah, but they're probably used to it.
Yeah.
In my life before grooming, I actually found that when someone starts to get that way towards you, the more pleasant you are, it either takes them down or makes them crazier because you're being sweet and pleasant and your voice is going like this. And you're just like, I'm so sorry you feel that way. I wish I could do something else to help you. And when they start getting even more agitated, maybe because I'm not as nice a person as I play on podcasts, but it just brings me a little bit of joy that they are now elevating their blood pressure and losing their ever-loving minds over me being nice to them.
Yeah, and
Oh,
that's
I
where
think
that's where she was going for sure. Sorry, go ahead, Denise.
Yeah.
Oh no, you're fine. No, that's 9 times out of 10 when I handle upset clients and I don't engage with them, I actually get worse reviews or feedback from them. I actually had one person get mad at me because I wasn't arguing with them and I was listening to what they had to tell me. And it was the strangest thing as I'm on the phone with them and I'm just listening because I wanted to hear their side. I sort of had an idea, right? I was not the person, I was not a part of this story. I walked into work and, I don't even remember what the circumstances were, but I knew I had to talk to this woman and she wasn't happy. And I just was listening to everything. And within 2 seconds of her voicing her concern and her complaint, why aren't you answering me? You don't have anything to say. And she got even worse with me because I wasn't interrupting her. I was trying to process everything so I knew how to handle it. But because I wasn't engaging at the time, I didn't care, apparently. And I said, no, I'm just trying to listen to you so I can understand what's going on and I can go ahead and help the situation.
Okay.
Then she got worse.
Hold that thought. I have some questions and we're going to maybe dissect that.
Okay.
But it's time to hit a button because that went fast because it was a good story. What if I told you you could have a year's worth of online education for less than the cost of one in-person trade show? That's right. For only $97 a month, you have access to a different 2-day educational conference with 10 hours of material taught by the best in the industry. Every month has a new theme that includes anything from grooming skills to business and everything in between. Can't catch it live or just want to rewatch it? Recordings are available for 6 weeks with closed captioning for both live and recordings with transcripts. What are you waiting for? Grab your membership today at positiveed.com. Okie dokie. So I wonder, and I don't know because I wasn't there, and I can't say that you did anything wrong, but I wonder if that's one of those situations where you're trying to do active listening, but because it's a phone call, she didn't hear you go, okay, I'm here. You know what I mean? If she didn't hear some kind of, because you were trying to do active listening, because it's easier in person, because then you can listen, you can do the nods, you can do and you can say, okay, what I'm hearing you, okay, I'm trying to process all this. You have just some parroting back to them. So I wonder if maybe because it was a phone call and not an in-person, she didn't realize that's what you were trying to do.
Yes. I mean, I can most definitely, right? There's always a difference of interaction face to face where you can read body language a lot easier. She probably didn't hear me because she wasn't saying you're giving any kind of breathing into her ranting and telling me her story to actually allow me to get a chance to tell her that I was listening.
And God forbid you cut her off.
Which, I mean, it happens, right? And listen, on a client side, I empathize with clients. If they're upset, they obviously want to get their point across, right? I don't think we should be punching bags, but I understand. I have to say, though, I was very taken back. That was the first time that, and I work really hard with active listening. I used to be a very reactive person. So the fact that I actually stood back and didn't try to interrupt and say my side or make it better right away. I processing. Who would have thought that would have backfired that time? But okay.
See, I think when it's the difference between active and passive listening can seem so close to when you're used to being reactive. So I think you may have inadvertently gone a little more passive, but probably because you were just trying to fucking breathe in. See, Mary, I edited. We didn't know if your podcast was salon friendly, so
No,
all right. So
I said masturbation like 3 times last episode, and now it's in this episode. So there
Right?
you
See?
go. Sorry.
actually,
Sorry.
that may be a traveling groomer first, Mary. I dropped the
I
F-bomb
don't
a
think
ton,
we've
but I
ever.
think we've never. I almost
God.
said we've never masturbated on.
You're welcome.
But
There you go.
I don't think we've ever used that word. So yeah.
It's a good word. It applies. Okay, so I have to give just a
Mental
sliver of
masturbation.
context.
Yes.
Or
It
they
was
can
not
listen to the episode.
Yeah, or you can listen to the episode.
You
It's
know
not
what?
about
Screw that. What
actually
episode was it in? Listen to
The
listen
third
to
episode.
Shop Talk. Let's talk shop.
episode 3 of Let's Talk Shop, and I am referring to doing things that feel good but are not productive, and just continuing to do things just because they feel good instead of things that produce real results.
So you're just focusing on dopamine.
Basically, yes.
Mhm.
yes.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
that 100% applies. And I
Yeah.
completely forgot what we were talking about.
So
because-
I want to talking about Denise's active listening
oh
backfiring.
yeah.
But I also
No.
think people like to be spoken to in different ways, and nobody
Yes.
walks around with their communication style tattooed on their forehead, although I would like to submit that
That'd
I
be
would like to live
nice.
in that world.
Yes.
Because whereas I enjoy very direct, to the point
Mhm.
communication, most people cannot deliver that and do not know that I would like that. So I think also at least part of my active listening is trying to better gauge how this person wants to be communicated with, which is very, very challenging for me because it was well into my 30s that
Mhm.
I realized that, oh, not everybody likes to be spoken to the way you
Yes.
deliver information, which was
Mhm.
that was earth shattering.
Right. And we only have, when we come to customers and client satisfaction, we have such a teeny tiny, minute window, right, to learn how to do that. And if you don't possess the tools, or you're learning to, because I'm always working on communication and customer service skills, and figuring out how people want things and delivered, and working with larger staffs. You have to, right?
Yeah.
It's all that part. But to try and nail it in that short amount of time is really hard, right? So
Yeah.
it's sort of keeping your emotions intact too, and us not taking it personal. Like, I always have to remember that it's their response to me is a reflection of them, not how I'm necessarily handling this. If I'm trying to listen, I'm just trying to make sense of things and figure out what direction to go. And that's how I process things. And I do believe I actually said that to her. I'm like, I'm not ignoring you. I'm trying to process, because that's how I think. And then it sort of smoothed out a little bit, but sometimes people don't understand that either.
Yeah, I'm very much like Corina, where I'm really to the point and blunt. But I also like to get information that way too. If someone is telling me something and I'm like 3 minutes later, now I'm scrolling on the phone because they haven't gotten to the point, and we're 3 minutes in already, when they could have just said what the problem was, and I'm like, okay, let me fix that. Okay. Or whatever. But yeah.
Mhm.
Or sometimes when you try to figure it out, and here's a crazy wonky one. Maybe you guys could have told me how I could have handled this one. I had someone accuse us of hitting her dog with a fly swatter, because when she took the dog home and she raised the fly swatter, it ran and hid, and it's never done that in the 5 years that she's owned the dog. So apparently we hit it with a fly swatter.
So in the 5 years she's owned the dog, has she ever raised a fly swatter at it?
Well, not at it. She was she raised it to go swat a
Mhm.
fly. And this was the first time a few days later after getting groomed. So we must have hit.
a
the
few
dog.
days
Well, I
later.
just
Few
want to
days later.
say, if you picked up a fly swatter abruptly in front of me, I would flinch too.
Yeah.
But nobody's ever hit me with one.
Right.
I don't know. Did you tell her? Do you even have a fly swatter on the premises?
No, not at all.
Of course you
Wow.
don't.
I even said we have, yes, it was a very odd, awkward conversation. And probably, as Mary said, like, and 20 minutes in, and I said, okay, I don't know what to do for this. What would you like me to do? I don't know. Okay. I'm like, we're not getting anywhere.
That might be to make another Star Trek reference. That might be a Kobayashi Maru, which is just a no-win scenario.
Yeah, that sounds like
And
that sounds like one of those.
I think
Well,
you
good,
just,
I think she just wanted to complain.
Yeah.
yeah.
I think she just wanted to vent, and what you did by listening to her was listen to her and give her what she wanted. And you may have also said, well, I don't believe we even have a fly swatter on the premises, but you know what? Just in case, let me look around. Thank you for bringing this to my attention. I'll review our video footage.
There you go. I
And
like that.
and seems like she would have been happy. And at the same
Probably.
time, apparently I just had a realization, if those watching saw an odd look on my face. I apparently have had a little bit of a fucked up life, not as fucked up as others. I recognize that, but just fucked up enough to go, you've never been hit by a fly swatter?
I saw you do that,
Bless
and
your
I didn't know what that meant. I'm not saying I haven't been hit by household objects, but
okay, but yeah,
not a fly swatter.
okay. That's fair. That's fair. That's
definitely,
what
like,
that face was.
Wooden spoon, spatula.
My mother was the wooden
Belt.
spoon. My father was the belt, and it was the belt. Do you want me to get the belt?
No, it was whatever one was holding up his pants.
Oh my gosh.
It was the
guys.
Yeah.
This is not good. Different time.
No, different time, very
different
not good.
generation.
Very
So
not good.
My father's generation is, he came home with a note one time from his school, from his teacher. And the note was a good note. The note was saying what a great student he was. His father didn't even open up the note at first. He brought a note home from the teacher, therefore it must be bad. And my father got beat. And then my grandfather opened up the note and read it and said, well, that beating was for something you got away with that I didn't catch.
Okay, so you guys, I feel, are a little younger than us, like generationally.
Is this why all old people are so cranky? Because
Yes.
they all just
First
got
of all,
the
yes.
shit kicked out of them as a kid. Also, not calling you guys old. I'm
Abso-fucking-lutely.
talking about
Yes.
the lady this morning. Like, did she get beat with a
Yes.
belt, and that's why she thinks it's okay to act like this in public?
I'm gonna say yes,
Yes.
because the thing that younger people don't realize is, and I'm not defending my father by any means, but compared to how his father treated him, he was gentler, which is a terrifying thought. So every generation goes, ooh, I didn't like getting the shit beat out of me. I'm going to beat my child a little less.
That's not funny, but I'm laughing. I'm sorry.
I'm going to beat my child.
Oh
And they
my
don't start out
God.
going, I'm going to beat my child a little less. They start out going, I'm never going to do that. But because they were reared with bad habits, they get pushed to a certain point and they snap and they pull out a belt or spoon. And then they feel shitty about it. Hopefully. But that's how every generation theoretically gets a little bit better as to what is considered the norm. And you're always going to have abusive asshats out there. And the goal is for that, though, not to be the norm.
Yeah.
This just went dark.
Well, a little bit, but I mean, I think it does. It is dark, but crossover episode. You don't know what's going to happen.
Don't know.
I think referring it back in turn. Okay, so there's a lot to unpack here, right? There's generational trauma.
Yeah.
But you know, I talk about that amongst my staff quite a bit, at how millennials and Gen Zers, the Zoomers, get a bad rap about certain things. But I will say, customer service wise, they are my easiest clients. It's typically the older clients that not always, but if the handful of times that I've had an irate client that I've had to like say, whoa, you need to like cool it down, they've been older people. And I teach community college anatomy on the side. And I was telling my kids last week about how as we get older, all the parts of our brain that hold us together and stop us from being just a raging psychopath, they get a little bit relaxed. And I'm not saying that people have brain damage. What I'm saying is it's much easier when you're older, to be cranky. It's so easy to be cranky. It's so easy to slip into that because the inhibitory parts of your brain just don't work as well as they used to. And you can think about this just in terms of like stamina. Like when you're 20, you can party all night and you can eat a whole pizza at 4 a.m. and you can sleep it off and be at work at 8 a.m. Just for example, not naming any names. Who does that? But like your capacity for that diminishes with age. And so for a lot of people that come in and they're like irate about something, I might just be the straw that broke the camel's back. Like there could be a whole morning of minor inconveniences that wore them
Yes.
down before they got to
Yes.
me. And so maybe it has nothing to do with me, but here we are because their capacity for kind of navigating that is diminished.
Okay, I'm going to, even though we're late to push a button, I'm going to tell a story that semi-relates, and then I'm going to jump to a related topic. But I was thinking, we never know what has gone on in their life. First of all, if it's a new customer, we don't know them. We don't know how their communication style is. And the other thing is we don't know what went on in their life. The one time that I'm minorly embarrassed about, that I may have cried to get my way somewhere, but I wasn't crying to get my way specifically. It just kind of happened. So, all right. I had this lovely black wool coat, and I have cats. So it had cat hair on it. It had dog hair on it. And I needed to wear it to an event that afternoon. And because of everything that had been going on, I hadn't gotten a chance to drop it off at the dry cleaner. So there was a place down the road from me that said 1 hour service. So I'm like, great, I go to drop it off. They take one look at this and they're like, this will be done next week or tomorrow or whatever date they gave me. Like, this is too dirty. Like, I can't run it through. It's going to, and I'm like, but you have a 1 hour thing. It says 1 hour cleaning. Well, I can't do this in an hour. So I burst into tears because the event that I needed it for that day was my father's funeral. And he'd been in the hospital for a while. So there'd been a lot with planning and I had not gotten a chance to get my stupid fucking coat cleaned. That I clearly needed to show up not covered in pet hair. But looking back on it, yeah, it probably was an unreasonable request. But because of everything going on in my life, all I was fixated on was, I can get this done in an hour. This one thing will go okay. And they did get it. They did get it done for me. Like, it still had some pet hair on it, but it was presentable. And that's all I needed. And yeah, I do kind of feel bad at putting them on that spot. But it wasn't necessarily on purpose. It was that straw. And you don't know if a miscommunication between the spouse that dropped the pet off and the person picking the pet up on, what do you mean the dog is shaved? I had no idea this was going to happen. Yeah, it's just hair, but it could have been their straw because they could have had a shitty day. And 10 other big things could have gone wrong. But anyway, we're going to be back in 30 seconds. And I have a question for Denise and Corina.
As a house call groomer, the idea of van and generator maintenance had kept me out of one for years. But Hanvey Engineering and Design has been making mobile grooming vans for 20 years now and has thought of that. No generator to maintain, repair, and replace. No propane to fill or worry about running out in the middle of winter. Hanvey vans have the lowest operating costs out there. I know I'm sold, but check out their latest innovations for yourself at hanvey.com.
All right. So Corina, you were and Denise, you were both talking about your employees in the shop. Mary, how many employees did you have when you were mobile?
0.
Yeah.
However, when I worked corporate, I had I had minimum of 2, anywhere between 2 and 4. But
Yeah. And I've also
as a manager.
as a manager, and I've also managed a corporate shop. And then, coincidentally enough, much like Mary, went on to a 0 employee model after
We're doing something
managing a
wrong, Corina.
corporate shop.
Yeah.
So,
Just-
how many
just
employees do you guys have each that you have to manage at any given time?
I have to count them. Hang on.
Okay, Denise, she's counting.
Yeah, me too. I sort of had to count them. 25-ish. I'm gonna say 25-ish.
I have about 20. But I have 1 location and Denise has
3.
3.
And how much is your alcohol bill every month, approximately? That's the only thing I can.
Personally, or
Yes, just
okay.
Just work related. No.
Okay, so
You don't have to answer that one.
honestly though, we were talking about this on I think our first episode, how like 1 to 3 is easy,
Yes.
and then 3 to 10 is hard, and
Yes.
then like 10 to 20 feels different, and then after it, I don't know how to explain it. Like it's not bad, but it's because I have a really incredible team that takes care of things for me. So
And structure.
yeah, there's a lot of structure. There's
Structure.
when people are hired, there's just a hiring process, there's a training process. You don't have to think about it. So if you automate everything
Mhm.
and kind of take the thinking out of it, then 20 employees is not difficult. But
So sorry, go ahead.
no, it sounds, it also it sounds like there's so many of them. We're open 7 days a week, and my groomers only work 4 days a week. So there's not 20 of us in the room all together all the time. Like it's not like that. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's a big team. Yeah, what were you gonna say, Denise?
So 1 to 3, you're at that point where everyone's all
Mhm.
adults. We should be able to do this. We don't need to have a lot of structure. Everyone knows what they're doing. And then you learn really fast that's wrong. And then you start to get structure. And then you realize from 4 to 10, the structure that worked from 1 to 3 does not work for 4 to 10. And then you sort of hone in on where that middle is, and you just learn to evolve. And after 10, you pretty much hit all of the dynamics, and you've been through so much of a learning curve that you know where it failed earlier, where you needed to tweak, and you start to find that balance. And then all the new people coming in are trained proper, right? So it's always, that's the other key to it. When you get new people, they start in at different levels of your business. So we were talking about our last episode 3, about boundaries and appropriate employee and employer relationships. And, we're both 10 years in, and we've changed so much. I didn't have boundaries, when I started 10 years ago. So all the new employees have a new Denise. They have the new and improved model that has gone through all of the hardships of lack of boundaries. So they have boundary Denise, where some of the older, my more seasoned groomers who have been with me for quite some time watched me transition. So sometimes they're maybe a little bit harder because they're used to a different personality, but you just sort of grow with it, and you're just a different person when people come in.
And I think also okay, the thing that comes to mind, and this will not make any sense maybe, but it makes sense in my head. There's that psychology experiment where we used to, we had a bunch of monkeys in a room, and when they would do something, they would climb up on something, we would electrocute the monkey, which is not nice. Don't do that. But so we used to do that.
Yeah.
And at a certain point, the monkey stopped going up there and stopped doing that thing. And they started teaching their kid monkeys, their baby monkeys, not to do that thing. And so at a certain point, you stop electrocuting. And that is not a metaphor for punishment at all. I was trying to touch on the point that
Well, now we know how Corina got her monkeys in a row.
Can you imagine? Oh
Just
man,
saying.
little shock pad at each station. No, I was trying to touch on the point that like it gets easier when you have that many because they teach themselves, and
They
it's
do.
almost like a self-regulating machine, and like the culture kind of keeps itself in check a little bit.
Mhm.
Whereas, maybe the most of them haven't been with no, none of them have been with me for the full 10 years. So now like the things that I've learned from, they didn't see that stuff, but
Correct.
they've learned the lesson without the electrocution, right? Like
That's
Mhm.
that's a bonus.
Yeah.
Where they didn't have to get electrocuted.
Yeah.
And see, Mary, call back to a previous episode. It all comes back to corporate culture and what culture we set up in our shop.
I
For
thought you were
our
going to say it all
employees.
comes back to monkeys. And I was like, what episode did I miss?
Well, that depends.
Well, actually, now the monkey episode is going to be this one, but
This is going to be the monkey
No, this is
episode.
the masturbation episode, which you got to pick. You can't have.
well,
Oh, come on.
no,
I've seen monkeys at the zoo. You pick one, you pick the other.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. That's true. No, culture is super important, but I think it's something that you got to build it every day. I think when you notice it's there, you can't look at it directly because you'll lose it. And
And be grateful every night. I go home and I'm very thankful on how the day went, even if you have hiccups, knowing that, it was, like you said, when you look at the culture, it goes away. You just,
Mhm.
you feel it, right? It's one
Yeah.
of those, this was, everyone got along, everything ran smooth. It was,
it's like
We're grateful.
stars. Like sometimes stars, if you look at them head on, they disappear. So you have to like look a little to the side, and then they look a little brighter. That's exactly my culture. If I
Yeah.
think about it too much, or I try to look at it too much, like poof, it's gone.
Because part of it is you've created a self-perpetuating culture that you're not necessarily in the midst of, you're kind of overseeing. So if you get in there, you fuck it all up.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, yeah. Too much control, right? Like we're still business owners, so we feel like we need to control a lot of things. And if you try to nitpick, that's when it goes all awry. So keeping ourselves in check.
Yeah.
Nice. See, and this is where having 4 people, sometimes it can be crazy and sometimes it can be perfect. And it was perfect because my brain just went to monkeys at the zoo and I needed a moment, but Corina was right there. She's like, kept going. And I'm just,
I brought it back around. I'm sorry. It's just
no, it was good. It was
my
good.
brain works.
I was recognizing that was a good thing. And I looked too hard at it and see it went poof. But I think that learning from our mistakes is very important. And I'm good at having gratitude for my mistakes, but I'm not always good at being grateful for them in the moment. Maybe not that night, maybe the next day, maybe the next week, I'll be grateful. I'm actually putting together a class for the Colorado Springs show on, and what did we learn today? Which is basically learning from our mistakes and a compilation of stupid things I've done that have made me a better businesswoman.
Yeah.
And I think we were also talking about this off air. When you get to be a known name, Corina, Miss TV
No.
star,
No.
Who's
people
she?
think that you've always got your monkeys in a row. And they don't know the amount of shocking that had to go on. No, but they
That's
don't
true.
know the
How much work
amount
went
of
into it?
the amount of work that went into that. And they don't see the mistakes. And that's a downfall of social media. We post our successes and we celebrate each other's successes, as we should. But we don't necessarily post like, wow, look at the massive way I fucked up today. This situation is foobarred, and how are we going to turn this around?
But it's important to talk about it.
Yes.
I teach a business compliance class, and it's just a list of all the ways I have messed up and how to make sure that you don't do what I did.
Mhm.
But I've I have ruined everything. I have not had good culture. I have had employees leave and start their own shop. I've had um I've had safety issues. I've had, oh, you want to hear a real juicy one? I used to, when I first opened, I didn't know any better. I pre-mixed my shampoo because it didn't say I couldn't on the bottle.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, we all did that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So, how is anybody supposed to it's not just learn from your own mistakes. It's tell the other monkeys so they don't get shocked.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm going to find an electric cattle prod to bring to the next trade show.
Oh my gosh. It's amazing. Productivity is going to
No.
go up through the roof, man.
Yeah, I'm probably not going to do that on carry-on. I'm wondering if I could put that in my check bag.
I don't think TSA cares. They're not going to know what it is. I mean, they miss a lot
They'll
of guns,
do
so
it.
I mean,
seriously, they do. They've missed loaded guns.
Dude, I bought at the Chicago show one of those keychains that look like, I know, and I've told the story before, keychains that look like a cat head, but it's basically like really pointy brass knuckles and like a screwdriver or something. It was really cute. And I stuck it in my backpack because that's the bag I carry at the show, and promptly forgot it was there. I went from Chicago to Vegas. That thing made it through like 3 different airports before TSA finally caught it. And they caught it, and I'm staring at it like, what the fuck is that even? Like, it took me a second to recognize what it was and that I had indeed had it in my bag. And I'm like, oh God, that shouldn't be in there. Oh, you can keep that, because what the hell was I going to do? I was going to argue. No.
I have brought a full bottle of water through TSA because I had it in my backpack and I just didn't think about it. And I put it on the conveyor belt. And then when I was putting my backpack back on, I was like, oh, I still have a bottle of water.
whoops. I mean, that's their job, man. I'm not doing their job
Yeah.
for them.
Right.
Yep.
Anyway. Fun times. One more button. Ooh, 2 more buttons, but one for right now. Just got to remember which one. So by now, you know how much I love my Evolution shears. They're the only shears I use. Check out all the options, including customizable non-swivels, at evolutionshears.com, and give Abby a shout with any questions you might have. Traveling Groomers listeners get $10 off and free shipping with the code ON THE ROAD, all one word. So check them out today. Your hands will thank you. All right. So we're hitting we're checking off our marks and our topics. So we've been talking a lot on this podcast about, talking a lot. We had one episode about investments in our business, but I also want to start talking about intangibles and things that not like hardware or tables or products or tubs. What are some intangible things that we can do for our business? And we were talking a bit about coaching before we hit record. So what are some things that you guys have done for yourselves for coaching to help your business?
All right. I have a coach. It cost me $97 a month. And it's it bounced things off of her. All right. She's actually not in the pet industry. So it's more the idea of it, whether or not it makes sense. She was also the person that when I was learning technology and membership sites and all of those good things, she was the one that I spent a lot of money with to learn how to do it because she was that one step ahead of me. Okay. There is a great deal of value in coaching when you know what it is you need coaching in. Okay. So a lot of what she does for me is more along the lines of mindset and ideas. Okay. And I think it's really valuable to have someone say, well, okay, that's a good idea. This is how you're going to accomplish this. This is what you need to learn in order to accomplish this. So direct me on the right path. So I'm not guessing. All right. A lot of my coaching had to do with technology. And let me tell you something. When you make mistakes in technology, they are very, very expensive mistakes. Okay. So you try to minimize those as much as possible. Okay. We are really blessed, I think, in our industry to have a lot of groomers who are moving into the coaching world because it's been there, done that. So the only coaching I personally do in the grooming world either has to do with mobile grooming or education. That's my jam. Okay. But I have coaches. They're wonderful. They're going to get you to point A to point B in a whole lot less time and less money than if you try to do it on your own.
Mm-hmm. But I also think there's a place for coaches that are not in the grooming industry. I think we need both when we're talking about our business.
Absolutely have had both in my career.
Both.
Yeah, I actually don't have any coaches in the industry. That's not to say that I don't need one. Just most of my coaching comes outside of the industry. But you know, they stay in their lane. So I'm part of two separate business groups. One of them has a coach and the other one is more just like I have kind of a whole network of really great people and peers that I can kind of call on if I need help, which is really great when you have an emergency situation in your business. But my coach is actually he's the CPA. So a lot of the coaching that he has me do is very money directed, very much, looking at our P&Ls every month and talking about ways that we can make more money and ways that we can save. But he does also a lot of strategic planning with our laundromat. So basically helping us make goals every year, kind of figuring out what we want to accomplish each year. And that's hugely beneficial for me because when left to my own devices, I will try to accomplish everything and therefore accomplish nothing.
Yes.
Yeah, but in terms of like industry specific coaching, I'm really blessed in that I have like a lot of great people, Denise, who I can just call when I'm having a problem.
Yes.
So I don't have a coach per se, but
A
I have
support system.
yeah, I have a support system, and ultimately, isn't that the same thing? It's a little bit less directed. It's not as focused and intentional, but I know that if I have industry specific needs, I've got people to find them. But it is interesting though. My business group is they skew a little bit older than me. They skew to be differently aligned politically, I would say. But what's interesting is that has actually turned out to be a very good thing for me. And I would hope vice versa. Maybe they like having my point of view as well, although I'm sure I come off as an obnoxious young person who doesn't understand the world. But I think having a coach who will or just people in your network who will kind of challenge you a little bit and ask you questions and give you a different point of view is really important. Because at one point they were talking about doing like a women's only group, and I said, "Oh no, thank you." And I think they were surprised because they were like, "Oh, aren't you like a feminist? Wouldn't you want that?" And I said, "No, I'm here for the men's opinions. Like all I do is work with women. Like why would I want to be in another room full of them? And if you're in a room and just everybody is agreeing with you, then what is the point? Like that's not beneficial to me." So I actually I love when somebody gives me bad advice because if nothing else, I can kind of suss that out. Why don't I like that advice? What part of that do I not like? What part of that is it against my values? And then that kind of like helps you better understand yourself and what you want to do. So I would also say not just outside the industry is good, but different viewpoints is very good too.
I also want to make mention of I have an accountability partner as well. We meet every Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
And she's in a totally different industry, and we just keep each other on track. you know. She makes sure I'm doing what I said I was going to do. I make sure she does what she says she's going to do. Okay. So accountability partners are good as well. So there's different options. And Denise here, you know, just so everybody knows, is a business coach here in the pet industry.
Yeah. So, well, and I've had both too. So I had Chris Berry. She helped me get myself organized. I struggle on not a leadership side, on the boundary side of really leading a team. So I always geared towards coaches that could help me with communication and moving forward. My geeky side is generational. I love knowing why people tick. So that's why I can employ what I have and be able to work. I mean, I employ anywhere from 18 up to 72. So I have every generational. So I do a lot of reading. I'm a serial reader. So I love reading about generations. I love, if I'm having trouble with communication, I will go ahead and do that. I'll do Coursera classes too, you know, so if coaching may not be an option for people, Coursera classes, you know, free education as far as college education, and they have courses for everything. So yeah, and that's where I went into the whole business coaching because of that. I didn't know what I was doing. I was that person who, you know, started because I had a bad experience in a toxic work environment. So that's now my new passion. So I like to do that and help people get their businesses organized, because I want to see this industry become more professional, and business owners stand behind that and feel more confident in that, because I did not. So yeah.
I have a dirty secret, which is I love reading and I hate business books. God, I hate them. I hate them so much. And I buy them. Like, it's so easy to buy books. My
It is.
favorite.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, I love going to Barnes and Noble and just like
When I
blowing
came to see you,
$100.
I'm like, oh, I forgot we don't have Barnes and Noble by us. I went to the Barnes and Noble and I like spent all this money, and I'm like, I forgot how much I love touching books and being in a bookstore.
So great.
Yes. Yep.
But I every business book I've ever read, I'm like, this could have been a blog post. This could have been a paragraph. Like, and that's me, like Mary, going back to like being blunt. I'm also like, get to the point. Come on, I don't have all day. What is it? What is it? Say your thing. Get to what's the conclusion? You don't have to lead me to water. Just say the conclusion, and I will probably get there as well. But like, you don't have to sell me on it. I already bought the book. Just tell me what to do. So Denise, if you could just read all the business books and send me the cliff notes, that would be great. Thank you.
Oh, can do. Perfect.
Okay.
You know, sometimes you can do that though. You can read the title and the back cover. Like,
And then
oh,
you're
do you
done.
remember the what was it, Denise? Maybe you know, Who Moved My Cheese, or Where's the
Oh.
Cheese?
Oh, I can't remember. Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone who was telling me, was that you, Corina, that was telling me about that book?
That's my dad's favorite book. I think they wrote that book about my dad because everybody's moving his cheese. But
But
that wasn't a
couldn't you
euphemism.
just
but you can just say it, like the whatever the meat is of that
Yeah.
book, you could just
Mhm.
say it in like a paragraph. Yeah.
There is
really,
an
like, you
app
could
that does that.
read the
I tried that app
I
and
didn't like it.
I was still annoyed. I was like,
Yeah,
this
I
is
didn't
still
like it.
taking too long.
I've done
Okay.
it. It's like 15 minutes. It's like the
Fun time.
summary in 15 minutes up to
No.
of a book. And I wasn't a fan of it because I think it's very subjective. So if it looked, you know, whoever was reading it and their opinions of what the summary was, not necessarily from the author. So,
You know, one of the things I learned in college is working backwards. So organic chemistry, and I loved organic chemistry, by the way. And you start with the end product and you have to go make it. So,
Sorry, nobody loves organic chemistry, Mary.
love.
You absolute psychopath. My God.
I keep saying it.
But anyway, it's how I approach doing anything. So if I'm going to do a thing, all right, this is the thing I want to do. Okay. The finish the thing. Just how am I going to get there working backwards rather than going, oh, well, you know what? I'm going to start here and just go all over the place. No. I'm going to start at the end and work my way backwards. No. I love organic chemistry. I'm just saying.
That's very scientific thought process of you, though, because in a scientific paper, it you know, the introduction is, this is why we did this thing. Here's how we found
Mhm.
out. And now I'm going to tell you like all the points that support what we're saying. And I love that. That's straight into the point. But
I
that
just
is
want to read the
backwards.
first paragraph.
Yeah, that's backwards from how most people want to be led to a conclusion. I just want you to tell me the conclusion and then give me your
Yes.
evidence.
Yep.
Give me the
Yep.
evidence below. Yep.
Yep.
That's really funny. Yeah, you're an absolute psychotic. Like I knew you were crazy, but oh my gosh, Mary.
That 100% drove a thought out of my head. I was going to say something
It's not
super
important.
topical.
Not,
Clearly
no.
wasn't important. But what I'm going to do is push the last button of the day and then ask some, well, second to last, really, and then ask some very important questions. I love being a house call groomer, but I hate doing laundry or worrying about asking my clients for fresh towels. Raypet has solved those problems for me with the Wet Pet disposable towel, taking up much less space than traditional cotton towels and easy to wring out and reuse. These super soft, comfy, absorbent towels eliminate any cross-contamination concerns between pets. And now their new smaller washcloth size can even help those sensitive eye areas. Great for cleaning out wrinkles gently and thoroughly. Need to keep water bowls for your clients on hand that are easy to disinfect, but hate all the room traditional clanky metal bowls take up? Or just have a very active pet? Their collapsible silicone bowl comes with an aluminum D-ring hook that can be attached to your pet's leash or anywhere else in your van for easy storage. You can get one by itself or in their handy travel kit, along with a set of 3 tick removers and 1 small wet pet towel. So stop by their website to check it out, raypet.net, and tell them the Traveling Groomer sent you.
So just hold on, Corina, just you truly appreciate this. So my professor in college for organic chemistry graded on a bell curve. Okay.
Oh, you have to because everybody fails it except Mary.
He had to throw my data out so that the rest of the class wouldn't fail.
Psychotic. Absolutely. Like I barely, organic chemistry were absolutely my worst grades, and they were the reason that I basically didn't bother. Well, I don't know. I say there's a lot of reasons why I didn't go get a PhD, but like it's basically that. Like I got my first B- was in organic chemistry. So the shame.
I totally remembered what I was going to say, and it was regarding that the summary of the books being subjective to who's reading them. Like I could give you a very short summary of a book that I'm positive you've all either read in school or seen the movie version of, and you may or may not get the book because I happen to hate it.
Tell us.
It's boy meets girl. Girl's a bitch, not worth it. Boy completely reinvents himself to be worthy of the girl because he wasn't good enough. Girl is still a bitch and not worth it. People die. The end.
I love that book.
What book was that?
I think you're doing Great Expectations.
No, I'm not.
But that is exactly Great Expectations.
Kind of Great Well, you've got any other guesses? Because you got it.
Hang on. Wait, is it American author?
I believe so. You've got one word in the title correct.
Well, I don't think it's Expectations.
Correct.
Great Gatsby?
It's The Great Gatsby. I hate The Great Gatsby.
Hang on, though. That's not what happens in Great Gatsby. That's the backstory to Great Gatsby.
Boy meets girl, but that's
but everything that you said, that whole thing that you just said,
is the backstory.
None of that happens in Great Gatsby. All that happens before you start reading Great Gatsby.
But boy meets girl again. Girl is still not worth it. People die. Happens in Great Gatsby.
Sure. All right. Fair.
Okay. So yes, I can't because Daisy's
okay. But do you hate Daisy or do you hate the book? Because I think when authors can make you hate a character, then they have done a good job, and that is a good book.
Let me put it this way. It's possible that I just hate Daisy, but I was the nerd who did a book report on The Hobbit in like 7th or 8th grade. Okay. I love to read. I was in AP English, love all the books, read all of the things. The Great Gatsby was the only book I read the Cliff Notes on because I couldn't fucking stand it and I couldn't get through it.
I think the writing's amazing.
It could be.
I think
it,
Daisy. Yeah,
it could
Daisy
be the
just sucks.
characters. Just
Daisy
hated
just
them
sucks.
so much. I
Well,
didn't want
they're
anything to do
super
with them.
rich and out of touch, right? And that's part of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I read it in high school.
Yeah.
And generational trauma. And then we'll zip away from that. I read it in high school when I wasn't that many years away from free lunches in the park. So
Well, you're entitled to your opinion, old sport.
I could have I see what you did there. See what you did there. But as we are in our wrapping up portion, you get a choice. And Mary knows what one of these questions would be.
Dare.
But not the other. Dare? Okay, so then it's the new one.
Awesome.
Well, the question was going to be, would you rather my original, like dust off my OG hard-hitting journalistic questions, or a question that kind of relates to this episode and that's completely new and inspired by Christopher Walken?
Why not both, man?
No, I don't think we have time for both. And I think the second one's better.
I'll be short. Well, then choose
Okay,
your own
okay.
adventure. Okay, it's your
You have
party.
your answer.
Okay. So you mentioned you wished people had their preferred communication style, like tattooed on their forehead. Have you noticed sometimes it's easier to read dogs' body language than people's? So
Yeah.
Would you rather have the gift of flight or a tail?
What kind of tail? A monkey tail or a dog tail?
Mm.
Because my
Ooh.
answer is tail if it is a prehensile tail and I can hold things with it, like my coffee.
Has to have
Ooh.
a purpose,
But
right?
if it is just for wagging when I'm happy, flight.
Well, no, it's not just wagging when you're happy. It's all the moods.
No, it
The
has to
tail
hold
could
something.
get puffy. How you hold it depends on your mood.
I would always have a puffy tail. My default would be puffy tail.
So, but if it's prehensile, it would be tail, because we're bringing this right back to masturbating monkeys.
Yeah. It's another appendage to work with.
Okay.
What a good groomer you would be.
That's very true.
Yeah.
You could hold the
Ooh.
blow dryer and have both hands on the dog. You know? Like, think about that.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Okay, we have
Okay.
time. What's the other question? I want
Okay.
the other question. Do it.
The other question is, what's your favorite what's your favorite product? What product in your grooming salon, if you and I'll phrase it differently.
I'm gonna edit that question. It doesn't have to be a. Yes, I'm editing
Wait,
it.
no, wait. You can make a second question, because I want this one. Damn it! You get your own questions. Don't edit mine.
Mine's very
What-
straightforward, but
It was
sorry.
going to be like, what would your groomers riot over if you said we're no longer using this?
I don't know if my groomers would riot over it, but they certainly would find another way to get it, to do it. And it's very straightforward. A happy hoodie. A happy
Okay.
hoodie. Like if we didn't have happy hoodies, we would be like wrapping dogs' heads in towels and doing all kinds of, silly things. And I have a million of them. There's like every dog gets one. Every dog gets cotton in a happy hoodie, and I think it's really, really important. So maybe
Okay.
not a sexy answer, but like
Denise?
utilitarian.
My groomers would riot over not having really good force dryers, my canine dryers.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, now, Mary, what's your question?
All right, what would be the non-grooming product? So maybe business product.
My Square terminal.
Okay.
Ooh. No, but you could just really use a phone.
No,
But
no,
it's
no,
way
no,
more
no. Square. The software.
The big, okay, Square the software.
not
Okay,
just
yeah.
the
The
Okay,
terminal
so-
though is nice.
I have to say this because Karina's here. My remarkable.
Oh, who does that? Who uses
What?
that? You
Look at
nerd.
Mary.
Look at you big old nerds. Oh, you both got one. Oh, great. All right. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
My
Look,
my
this
business
nerd
brain
over
needs
here.
organization.
Yeah, this nerd with organic chemistry and this nerd down here with reading books all the time. What a bunch of nerds.
Listen, how many
Just another
traveling-
thing that I would have to charge that I would forget
Listen,
about.
I'm old school. This is
Me
two
too.
notebooks worth
right.
of the traveling groomers notes. And I
That's
don't
right.
have to scroll through and find what I named the paper. I can find it. It's all
That's
dated.
right.
Look at that.
Look at that. Lost
Oh, wait,
art
I
of
flipped-
writing with a real pen on real paper, like a human.
Like a human.
Well, we're evolving here, Corina.
Well, this one's not. This one's not
Okay.
evolving.
We
Well-
have pens we can write with.
No,
Dude,
bunch of
The one time
baloney.
at a trade show, she's like, "Do you have something that's not a remarkable pen, like a real pen?" Like, no, I didn't actually, was the answer. Like,
Look, but just by flipping through, I can find that on New Year's Eve, episode number 93, we talked about food, 2020 and loss, driving your mobile van off with the plug attached.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Chris,
So
I
that
need you
can
to
be-
edit this out. I have to pee so bad. Because I downed this tea while we were talking and I'm
I
gonna
Dude,
saw
see
just so
that.
you know,
Or
that
you know
is-
what? Or don't edit it out. I don't
I was
care.
gonna say
It's
we're
just-
raw. Remember,
don't
we don't do
care.
edits.
Yeah, okay, I'll be right back.
the YouTube is definitely going to have that, just so you know.
Just so you know, listen, to make Corina feel better,
Yes.
the reason I was late I was still early. I was still 4 minutes early. And considering we recorded this on a day where daylight savings time happened.
And listen, you had me up, all right,
I know.
9:00 my time. So I don't want to hear anything about people being late.
No.
I
No.
was here on time.
Listen, I downed my breakfast and then I went, ooh, I gotta go to the bathroom. And then I finished and I limped all the way to my office and I stood right inside the door and I went, nope, be right back.
Is
So-
this staying? So the raw.
Yes, this is now
uncensored
staying.
version?
This is now staying.
Okay.
Listen.
I love it.
I think once we covered monkey masturbation, and I said that more than once, we can talk about people using the potty.
Okay.
So, though this is now staying.
What did I miss?
Oh, you're going to have to watch the episode now.
Oh man. All right.
That's what you missed. And that's not going to show up in your version. Whatever. I had a little sound effect.
I fucking hate people.
Anyway,
What was that? That was amazing. You just have the button that says
I
that.
fucking
Yes,
hate
she
people.
has.
These are our goals. We'll get there one day, Karina. We'll get there.
yeah.
Almost
yeah.
an entire year following me around, trying
fuck,
to
fuck,
very
fuck.
sly about getting me to drop the F-bombs.
I need to get one with a record scratching. I need to edit that because it's so short, and I need to be fuck. Yeah, that's my goals. Anyway, back to topic. You really missed nothing of importance. You just missed my own potty stories. But did we, in the things we said we were going to cover and talk about, did we pretty much cover everything? Is there anything you wanted to add? Because I think we're about over time,
We're good.
I think we're
Oh.
good. This was fun. I want to say
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
Like, this
thanks
has
for
been a lot
having
of
us.
fun.
No problem. Well, thank you for joining us. This is what this is what having a grooming community and a support system looks like. We are here for each other, and this is what it should look like all the time. But guys, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for
Enough.
having us.
All right. So we will see you next week, guys. Safe travels. Well, that was fun. But now it's time to head home.
We hope you enjoyed listening as much as we enjoyed chatting with you. If there are any topics you'd like us to discuss or guests you want to see join us on this crazy road trip of ours, let us know in the Traveling Groomers Facebook page. Don't forget to thank our sponsors. And see you next week, guys. Safe travels.